Wait every day, easy to what you will say, what you say. Walk with me, stay with me. I'm alive like you. Chase if it makes you feel something, anything. I'm alive. You got the dude here again with American Metal Magazine. And this time, man, we got a mind blower from down under. This is the grunge, really grunge metal band, Hello Enemy. Say hello, Hello Enemy.
Hello, friends. We are Hello Enemy.
Hi, all.
Man, this is an incredible band. You know, one of the great joys of doing this is the fact that I get to listen to these guys and get to be sometimes some of the first people to hear them in the States. And this band just struck a chord with me. Let me just tell you, what they have is on point. I'm a huge Nirvana fan, and not to say that they're like that. They're not, but they have those types of characteristics, I thought, and really brought out uh a certain vibe, I guess, man, is the way I can describe it. But it's different. I really wouldn't say it's Nirvana, but it's metal, but it's just a great sound. And I guess one of the first questions that I had is, how did you get to the production of this? Do you have somebody that did this production of this, I guess, last album for you guys?
You can take it, Dave.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got about 10 words on this one, but yeah, we're all home produced. So we've got a little recording studio in the Adelaide Hills in South Australia, which is in the south of Australia, funnily. A little studio where we have a home recording setup. I guess we're really fortunate with Skipper, who you see on the screen, who's got both the skill set and the equipment to do a lot of our production ourselves. So yeah, realistically, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, you had to go and pay fairly big money to go to a recording studio, spend a lot of money with really clever people to bring out a particular
Yeah.
sound. And we've been able to do a lot of this stuff ourselves. And we're really fortunate to have someone with Skip's capabilities to be able to do that sort of stuff. So we'll all home recorded, and then we spend a fair bit of time refining that sound, making sure it's kind of on point with what we want it to be, that it represents the song and the album, and there's some continuity between it all. But yeah,
Man,
all home album stuff.
and I'm really blown away by that, but it just goes to show you, if you have the right tools and the right talent, really, that you can
The
produce some
drive,
things.
man.
Yeah, and the drive. And I was going to get to that. Did you have any formal training? Because I just got to tell you, the production level, and I'm a little blown away, man, because I didn't think that it was a home sort of recorded thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think there's some benefit to it in that you can go back every day and you have more time to work on it, perfect it, and create nuances. Do you think that's true, Skip, when you're self producing this type of work, that you have some more?
100%. I was actually about to ask, like, how much do you want me to nerd out about it? Like, I can get
Yeah.
into details that, might be attuned to a different type of magazine, but for any audio listeners out there, we spent about 18 months getting the room sound with the drums essentially as easy to record. We could just walk in there with a setup that we know will work with the laptop, and literally plug and play. It took 18 months to figure out the right positions, the right
Yeah.
skins, the right, and that was that. None of that was an accident. Like, that was all by design, and it had to be super organic. There was not. We're working on no budget, so we'll do the best that we can with what we've got. And it's kind of a case of, you throw yourself into a situation that you want to be in, and you've got no idea how to do it, and you just chip away, like you eat that part of the elephant until the elephant's eaten. And
Yeah.
we all just wanted to do it. We were like, we started off as a 5 piece, and we ended up as a 3 piece, which was not any, there was no malice involved in any, everybody's lives just went a different way, but the three of us together just over time decided, as a 4-piece even, that we were going to try and have a jam room that we could go in and, damn the rest of the world, at least go
Yeah.
in there and make the music we want to make, press
Yeah.
the button so that we can show our kids later on. And that's what this whole thing just started off as, was what kind of, we've all had music in our souls. We've all had a life outside of music, and now let's get our music together and do something with it, because I don't want to die with regret. Nobody wants to do that.
Right on, man. That's the best way I've ever heard it put, man. Absolutely, man. I want to die thinking, Jesus, man, I could have put out one more album, man, or one more track.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter to me, and I'm sure the rest of us now. Like we've had some good streams, and we've had some really lovely feedback, and it's brilliant. Like, I'm not discounting it, I love it. But
Yeah.
that's not our end goal, is to get the thousands and hundreds of thousands of streams. So, well, let's just do the best that we can do with what we got.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah.
I think the other big part of this is the just when you do it yourself, you're not time constrained, right? Like, you can afford that time to, ruminate, have a bit of a think, go off, come back a couple of weeks later with fresh ears, fresh eyes on a song, and re-record things if you need to. That typical kind of progression you have in a recording studio where you're on the clock. Yeah, you got to be out of there by 5, otherwise it's going to cost you a heap more money and all that sort of thing. We don't have that. We're very lucky. It's a luxury we have. But, obviously there's this whole process when it comes to production, which is that of diminishing returns. So you can spend 20 minutes and we've got a song done 50%, and then you can spend another 500 hours just chipping away at the incremental, 2% as 1% is just to get that sound until it's absolutely perfect. And it allows you to be fussy, which is kind of cool for us as well. But it's not to say we always are.
We're not fussy. We're not fussy. We're fussy.
We have to knock it out because we're impatient. Or,
yes.
not everybody has the technical prowess to be able to do that, and that's the thing. You got to have some technical skills.
We did not do it without help, and a huge shout out to Josh at Dark Horse Studios in Minnesota. Thank you, brother, and also Jack Owens in Adelaide, who's here. So
nice.
those guys, but it's Josh from Dark Horse Studios in Minnesota. He was the catalyst that helps us shape a more aggressive sound instead of a more homespun sound, and he was the inspiration for me to sort of up my level as well too. So,
Yeah, that makes sense, man. It's always good to reach out to a mentor or have somebody like that can guide you in those critical moments, man, that we all have when we're trying to do. And
especially if they just sort of get it, and they kind of hear what you're hearing, and it's almost unspoken. So, yeah, thanks, man.
Well, aside from the technical aspects of the music, which is just the production level extremely high, the music itself, the way it resonates, let's get into that. How did you guys arrive at that sound, man? Is it a situation where you come into the studio with a box of lyrics, a book, a poem book, and then you try to marry that to some music? Or do you try to get the music down and then add lyrics? Chicken before the egg? What happens, man, there for you guys?
A mix of both.
Listen. Yeah, I don't think there's a particular pathway we take, to be perfectly honest. There's, I think we've done just about one of every iteration possible, where sometimes it starts with, a little riff, and then someone else works on it, and it comes back, you put some drums down, you do the lyrics later. Other times it begins with the lyrics and you build the music around that. Sometimes we're really fussy and we record it and come back and listen to it and then iterate on the song. Other times it's all spat out in 20 minutes and you've got almost a complete product that you then produce and master and all that sort of stuff. So it's not that we're accidental, but we don't have a very deliberate way of creating. And I think a lot of that is, again, it's that liberating kind of feeling that you can have where you're not constrained by anything, and we're not trying to sound too hippie with how this is, but we don't have a particular style of doing things, and it works for us that way. And I think we're kind of time bound as well, in that sometimes we've got all the time in the world and lots of evenings to spend listening and writing. Other times you've got no time, so that might be where someone else in the band takes an idea and riffs with it, writes, and there's a lot of contribution that goes in, but I will say one thing about the sound, especially, is a special pedal that Skip added to his board about 2 years ago. And it's called a grunge pedal, and it literally takes all your favorite elements of what your guitars want to sound like, and it puts it through one fantastic little pedal that he found in an op shop.
My sister gave it to me.
We got to get him. Say a few things about this. Let's talk about this piece real quick, Skip.
So this one came out at I think about 90 something, mid 90s, and I remember seeing it in Guitar World as a teenager, wanting an SG guitar, which I finally have, which is a whole different story. But my sister worked in a like a thrift shop, pawn shop sort of place, and I said, "Oh, can you keep a lookout, like specifically for this one?" And 2 days later, she gifted it to me for my birthday. I think I actually had to pay for it, but it was only $40, and I haven't seen them anywhere. And that thing has been amongst so many other bits and pieces of kit that I've bought over the years, like an integral part of the way it all works. But the more integral part is an amp that I found on the side of a street. And it was basically, we can't figure out if it's exactly who it was, but the guy who made it was the guy who made AC/DC's first amps. And after one of our guitarists left, I needed an amp, and I was talking with my other guitarist like 2 minutes earlier, and we drove past. I'm like, stop. And there's this goddamn tube amp, which has also been. So these two, between the two, we keep it as simple as possible. One button, one amp.
That's beautiful, and it just goes to show you sometimes by just experimenting with your equipment and different things can provide that really fat sound. Guitarists have traveled the world wide and tried all of these things to capture a specific sound. I know exactly what you're talking about. I had this old amp as well, and it was all beat up, but man, it was integral into
I had no expectations of what it would be, but it was the thing, and now it's now the thing. So we're stoked. But we've got a piece of Australian music history in our band, and we hope to make some more history for Australian music.
Man, well, you guys got it going on there. Let me ask you now, so what is going on with your record cycle? I saw a bunch of tracks that were sent to me. Is that part of a new album that you guys have or have just recently released? What's going on with your music releases?
Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah.
Sure. So we we released our debut album on the 20th of May, called That Goes On There. And that was a conglomerate of ideas that we had way back in January last year that we decided, well, we'll just do an EP because we had 5 or so songs. Oh, yeah, look at this thing. Oh, you're going to have to get in. Oh, you're going to have to put it right in front.
It's blurry for some reason, man. Hold on.
Put it on your face, man.
We're not filtering that out or anything. There you go. Wait a minute. That's it. Say a few things so the camera gets prompted. Talk about it for a second.
Yeah, so that's our LP. We've got records.
No. Have David talk about it for a second.
You go now.
All right. Yeah. Right up. So, debut album.
No. Hold the album back up, David. Hold the album up and then talk about it. Yeah, because it cues your camera up. There you go. Hold it up and talk about it. Perfect. Yeah.
Right. So that goes on there. It's 12 tracks. All home recorded, so to speak. Probably a couple of years worth of songwriting, and it's got a couple of our favorite tunes from 2-3 years ago that we've sort of been slowly refining over the time, and it's got a whole bunch of tracks from the last 6 months that we wrote not in a hurry, but we really deliberately, I guess. It's kind of we've probably got like a lot of bands, a couple of dozen tracks out there, and we had that luxury of picking our favorite 12, putting them on an album. The modern way of doing music, as I'm sure you're aware, is you just drip feed, you release, tune by tune, and we just sort of got to that point where we just wanted to do that. traditional thing and put out an
I love
entire
it.
album which just kind of captures this point in time for
Yeah.
us as a band. So
Yeah, I think that's important because to me, for an experience listening to an album, it's putting my headset on and listening to each track one at a time. And the more that you have, to me, if it's all good music, that's just a better album.
yeah, yeah, I think it's got some continuity about it, I guess, as well. And this is the other thing, like Skip was talking about, 2.5 years ago, we were a 5-piece band with a very different sound and a lot of different contributions. And then 18 months ago, we were a 4-piece band and then became a 3-piece band. So I think the 12 tracks that have ended up on this record are really representative of the 3-piece band that we have become, which is this last 18 to 24 months of us, right? So, we got a lot of other tunes there that were really, big for us and our favorite tunes at a different point in time. This is probably the 12 that just kind of really represent where we're at, I guess, as a 3-piece band, which is kind of cool.
That's really incredible. Sometimes it just gels down to that, I think, and especially one of the things that kind of keyed in my mind earlier, and that you're self-producing this album, getting less members is less conflict sometimes, and it allows you to move through it quicker, to me, I think.
Yeah. And listen, mate, we're not young pups anymore. We're not sitting around twiddling our thumbs in between jobs at the pub down the road. It's kind of everyone's got busy lives. So 3 is definitely more organized than 5, and that's probably a big part of it. To be perfectly honest,
yeah, right. It's not like hurt.
Yeah, we spent a bit of time thinking, do we need to add that other musician in or that other element? It was like, if we can find the time to do that, that'd be great. We just don't. So this works for us really well. But it's been kind of cool because it has changed the way we write. It's changed the way we sound as well. And we've had to be a lot more deliberate. You got one guitar and not 3. You've got to be really, really careful about how you write music for that. So
right,
we've become a lot.
That does help with dynamics, though.
And it does.
Yeah. I think that too. I just was watching a video of the 3 of you performing, and that was fantastic. And what I keyed on is how reactive the crowd was and how much they really digged you guys. Well, because you melted their faces, first of all. I mean, I thought I saw people passing out, man. But no, seriously, they loved it, man. So does that help being a 3-piece pubbing and going out to these different places? Is it more convenient, easier to get into these clubs and do that kind of gigging?
Yeah, we would love to say that we could fill a stage. A lot of the stages we've played on don't fit 5 people, so you're in the corner of an underground basement. But listen, I think the 3-piece kind of not necessarily inevitable, but it's where we've landed. And again, I mean, a 5-piece. They always talk about being able to hide on stage. You can't when you're 3 people. You're 3 people on stage. You're quite exposed, and I think as Skip, especially playing guitar and singing, there's nowhere to hide. You've got to be tight.
Yeah,
I appreciate your comment about how the fans receive it, but we have spent a lot of time in this last 18 months really tuning ourselves up to be really tight, and that's probably some of the most gratifying feedback you can get from people is when they say, you're right in the pocket there, boys. You really nailed it. You're not over the top. We don't do fancy riffs or fancy solos or play outside of ourselves. We sit neatly in our own capabilities and our skill sets, and also where we like to play, which is us having fun on stage. So nothing about our live performance is contrived. It's all very much just us being ourselves. And I think that contributes a lot. There's a lot of authenticity. Mm-hmm. We feel it, but I think it's really nice when other people feel that too.
Yeah, I definitely picked up on that on watching.
Couldn't agree more with what Dave said.
Yeah, that really makes me curious when I talk to a band like you guys is what were some of those inspirations that you had growing up? And it doesn't have to be necessarily a band. It could be a family member, but what really got you down the road of rock and roll, man? What happened?
Who do you want first?
Wow. And listen, I'll tell you a couple of anecdotes, and then we can talk more recent years. So, listen, I'm a drummer. my old man was a jazz drummer back in the day. So
Yeah.
he, growing up, I always had a kit around. It's this lovely old Ludwig jazz kit, very kind of Beatles-esque era.
Yeah.
But my old man spent a lot of time when I was a kid, and when I say that, like as a baby, used to go around with mum, and we'd help dad set up his kit at gigs on a Saturday night. So he'd play a wedding on a Saturday, he'd play a jazz club on a Sunday night, we'd do something on a Friday night. So for me, there was always this kind of like, it's the theater of music that I just grew up with, right? But then you also have this luxury of having a drum kit around, which a lot of kids don't. Guitar's a little easier, recorders a little easier, but there was always this kind of like drum kit.
This ain't no ukulele.
Yeah, definitely. There was no ukulele around, but a couple of harmonicas, mind you. But anyway, the point being, like, for me, it was kind of self-taught. There's this lovely little drum kit, and then my first kind of real rock and roll hero was Dave Grohl playing for Nirvana. So I'm 14, 15 years old and hitting this poor little jazz kit and beating the shit out of it. And then many years later, I would go back and refurbish my father's poor old jazz drum kit, out of respect for the fact it's this iconic piece of musical equipment. But that was what got me into playing the drums, and I owe that to my dad. But from a musical inspiration point of view, there was I think the time when you're I forget this stat, and I might be making it up, but I reckon you listen to 80% of the music that you're going to listen to by the time you're, 25 or something like that. So you're kind of pretty set in your ways by the time you're in your mid-20s. And we're children of the grunge era, and that was like everything I ever needed. So Matt Cameron, Dave Grohl, Abe Cunningham from the Deftones. These are the sorts of drummers I just listened to over and over. Now that's on the international scale. And then locally here in Adelaide, we had a band you might have come across called the Mark of Cain. And they're an incredible metal band. They ended up having a drummer by the name of John Stanier, who was from Helmet. He came and played with them here for a couple of years, recorded, and he's my all-time hero, right? So that's a lot of the inspiration I took as a drummer from these rock and roll drummers, right? That was my drummer story. But I think what's curious about us as a band is we all like mostly the same stuff, but we've all got these little pockets of nuance that come from different parts of our history, which we can bring to the songwriting table, so to speak.
Yeah. I think that's a common denominator that I have found in these interviews and in myself is coming from a home where there's musical instruments in it, and that there's drums around, or there's equipment around, or that music is a part of the home life. And a lot of people don't have that. I found, I thought everybody did, man. What? Everybody doesn't have a drum set, but that's not it. Skip, what about you, man? What were some of those motivators for you, man? How'd you get going?
I was a bit of a loner, and like, I guess for you guys, like in middle school, like going into high school, and got beat up a lot. I don't know why. I didn't give a shit. I was just like, what the fuck's going on, And I saw this guy. So my dad, because I'm a military guy and I'm from a military family, and we were getting moved away to to the big city. And the day before, as most military families understand, you have a great big party and everybody has a great big time. And there was a guy playing guitar, and like, to me, for the whole afternoon, he was that guy just standing back in the corner with a beer, just holding, keeping himself alone and just, shy out of the way. And as soon as he had the guitar in his hand, he became this whole entire human being. And everybody loved that guy. And I was like, I want to be that guy where I don't get looked at. And then when I want to, I can,
man,
it's taken me a long time to try and figure out put those two together. But it wasn't like that. I was like, I just want to be cool.
And that's such an amazing story, because I've seen that in myself. I'm the kind of really a kind of a reserved person in school. I was the same way, and I almost was sort of shocked when I got on stage and started running around and acting like a madman, and people reacted to that, and I'm like, where did that really come from? Was it suppressed? Hey, I got to get out and express myself and just put it out here, or somehow it made it easier for me, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more, there are a lot of people that do, they get into boxing or they get into some sort of outlet of violence. I find a lot of people do, or addiction.
Yeah.
In a sense. But for me, music's been the outlet that's saved me from so many different things. Just got through a divorce, and it's still not pretty. And this whole album's been such a cathartic, if not a distraction, but also a great outlet.
Yeah.
Music's always been an outlet, and it's always been a home for me. It's of all the things, I always find that no matter what I do, if I'm being creative and I've got nobody looking at me, regardless of even if it's on a stage, but prior to that, every creative understands there's a whole other backside to being on the stage. You don't just get on stage, you don't put things out there. There's a huge backstory behind the whole ordeal before you get there. And this whole album has been a great outlet for me personally, as well as emotionally and physically, in so many different respects. Only because it's just, I needed to get it out, and it's great. I'd rather do that than be sitting around wasting my life.
See, I think as musicians, we're really blessed in a sense, because see, we have that. A lot of people don't understand that, that how important that is in your life, man, that you have that you can turn to that. It's always been there for me, the sweetest drug of all. And what I have found and tell me if I'm not wrong, the more pain, sometimes anger, sometimes all those emotions. But here's the thing, and when you perform on stage, tell me this isn't true, the more that you focus on that and the more that you let that out of your soul, it always comes back as love.
Could not could not fault that statement in any respect at all.
There
are many times when you feel like, especially if you write a lyric that really hurts and you let it out, and it's really sort of God damn it feels good. And the look on some people, you go, all right. And I kind of lose where I'm at. I like to be a step ahead when because you've rehearsed your stage show and everything, but then you get that moment, you're like, oh shit, I've just lost my fuck.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you're done with that, when you've put that out, though, at the end, what do you get back? You get applause. You get the love back, the connection. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe I'm going too minute in the moment here. So,
that's all right, man. You went down a dark road, Steve. Come back.
Well, to put it in more perspective, then our recent album launch, like a very insane moment for me, was when people were singing, strangers, people I've never seen or met personally, were singing back our lyrics. It was wow.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's the love I'm talking about, right? Because
totally. That is insane.
I can see that. I listened to that track, and it had me singing, because one of the big differences I think with what you guys have is what you're communicating, and it worked. What you're communicating comes through in the music, and you understand the precept of the song, and what it is that you're trying to communicate in the motion of it, and you guys do that very well. So that is a big deal, in music.
That's a very kind thing to say. That's really nice thing to say. Because you get it too, right? Like it is music and writing and performing is extremely cathartic. I think the other thing that I find always really, really fascinating is that we all probably spend most of our lives trying to figure out who we are, and sometimes you figure it and then you lose it a little bit, but we all wear these different hats, right? So you've got this, for us, we've probably at home you're a dad, and then in the workplace you're this other guy, and then in the music studio you're this totally other dude as well, and then when you're on stage you're someone even different again. And I think for me, I've always wondered, well, which one am I? And then you realize there's this lovely peace that you find with yourself when you realize you can be all those things all at the same time. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to necessarily be pigeonholed into being one of those things, and the others are an anomaly. They're all just different aspects of your personality that you get to express at different times, right? But the music is the most visceral thing. And I think that's what I love about performing live, is that for that 30, 40, 50 minutes, you're either there and you're sharing this, or you're in your own little bubble hitting these big things and you're sweating and everything's fantastic. You don't really care about what anyone else thinks. And you finish that, you put your sticks down and you're like, I'm healed, you know?
To add to that, Dave,
right on.
To add to that, Dave, to do it with you two guys, after all the blood, sweat, and bullshit we've been through to get to where we were on that is just the icing on the cake for me. You know, it's
that's it.
As you said, you know, dude, like all the love. That's it's all there.
Well, now let's ask you this. So what if tomorrow, man, you strike gold? And I think you guys are close, in my opinion, because I mean the sound is incredible. But what if that happens tomorrow, man? The album sales, you get picked up, whatever the greatness happens, okay? And where do you find yourself going? I mean, what is the pinnacle goal of being in the band? What do you want out of it, man? If you could get anything out of it, what would it be?
It's a terrific question. And
it's a hard question too.
Yeah, I think we because we talk about this a lot, right? Like, what are our small goals? You know, we say things like, wouldn't it be nice to play in front of a bunch of people who are there to see you, not because they're the friends of the band that played before you. So little things like that. And as you start ticking these things off, you start thinking a little more broadly about what it is. You know, honestly, no big aspirations to tour the world. But having said that, I would love, on my bucket list, is to go and play a show in somewhere like the US or Japan or Europe, or not just one show while you're there. But you know, there's a touring element as well, and as Skip said at the top of the chat, like having people click and having people like you and all that stuff is not important to us. It's probably that connection with real fans, I think, and whatever that comes in. Like, so if that's in front of 10,000 people, that'd be outrageous, of course. But if that's in front of 100 people that are all dialed in and locked in with you in that moment, that's just as sweet as anything else you can do in front of a bunch of people that probably don't really know what you're about, right? So
yeah.
I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer for me necessarily, but having said that, there's some cool moments we'd love to do. And I think right now, you know, if a big touring band were to come to Australia, we'd love to hang off the back of that and maybe get the opportunity to play on a big stage with a big band coming after you. It would be kind of a little bit of a buzz, but that's a bucket list thing for me, maybe. But, you know, we toured last year. We went over to a place called Melbourne, which is, you know, 8 hours drive from Adelaide, and we played some shows in, you know, different state, and that was a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
Well, man, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, you know. And I think that your mindset is actually right here, in that it's not about, you know, you're not trying to think, okay, I'm gonna rule the world here. What you're doing is you're focusing on your music and on your performance. And I got to tell you, as long as you continue to do that, the rest will come organically, man. But if that fails, you won't. So that's the goal. And I hear that, and it's great been talking to you guys, because I can see where you're coming from now in the music, and it all seems to make more sense to me. And I hope the listeners are the same way. Let's ask this now. To me, this is one of the hardest questions, man, that you got to face. What do you think the biggest obstacles are for the band? What do you need the most? What are the things that you think could get you to where you want to be?
That's a cracking question too.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
Oh, dude. I could go on a rabbit hole of tirade of how crap the music industry is, and how it is biased towards you know, particular genres or whatever it is. But you know, I don't think that there's really any major obstacles. The biggest obstacle is ourselves, and the biggest obstacle is like really at the end of the day, are we able to continue pushing until we can't, or until you go, you know what, I don't want to, we don't need to push this commercially anymore. You know, if it doesn't, if pushing it to the masses in any shape or form, however that may be, becomes a chore, then why do it? Yeah, we just do what we do and just throw it out, and at the end of the day, let the universe just figure it out. Like, and essentially that's almost what we're doing, but sort of a little bit more focused. Yeah, you know, we do want people to hear our music. We don't want to just sit back and go, just figure it out, you know, and be those, you know, be one of those bands that's got really great music that just don't, you know, nobody hears it, because we want people to hear our music. I think we've got something to say, and I think we've got something that almost to prove it at the same time.
Well, I think, you know, as well, you like, anytime you do this, I think you talk about striking gold, right? Like striking gold is luck. Like I think your tune can be at the right place at the right time with the right person, and you strike gold. Everything else requires effort and patience and you know, perseverance and all that stuff. And I think, you know, we very much, you know, we grind away here, happily grinding away on stuff, not because we have to, but because we really want to. But it's part of the journey. It's like, and I think this is, for me, as I know this sounds pretty ratty, but it's not necessarily getting anywhere with it. Like if we just have fun on the way there, I think that's the outcome, right? Like one day we might play that big stadium show as a support band, and we tick that box. It's like, well, now what? We've got something else, so we jump on a different train and head off in that direction. So I just think it's just a part of your life. Like I don't think there's a destination here for us.
Well, you know what, I really enjoyed our conversation today and this evening for you guys. And there's one word that just comes out in my mind here that best wraps it up for me, and that's genuine. You know, if you want the genuine article, if you want genuine, independent, real rock and roll, like it used to be back in my day when it mattered so much. That's because these bands aren't really pressured by labels and all these other influences. They're out here doing this because they love it, and it's what they get out of it. And let me tell you something that produces something in the music, and that's where I think that you guys have really come out is the genuineness of your music, because it's real, it's original, and it's a beautiful thing. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
possibly that. One of the greatest compliments you can pay, I think. Really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Well, it's you guys deserve it, but unfortunately, our time has come to an end here at American Metal
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man.
It's been so good. The dude abides. Everybody get on board. Get on board with this, just please.
Yeah, please do visit us. You can visit us at www.americanmetalmagazine.com. These folks here are going to get this interview is going to premiere. You can go to the website and be check-in. I'm not sure which issue they'll be on, but they'll be in an issue where you can check out their links. You can find out more about the band. You can find out where to purchase their music. And that's a big thing. You know, what you got here is a bunch of guys that deserve to be recognized for what they've done. And their music needs to be purchased. You know, if you're out there and you're listening, please buy the album. They've got a beautiful hard copy vinyl album that they were showing us early, man. Get this thing. It's a collector's item. Trust me, in a few years, you're going to kick yourself because you didn't get this, man. And by the way, I'll tell you my address after the show. You can send me my copy.
Absolutely.
But listen,
that's really great, man. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And to your listeners as well, like thank you to your listeners as well. If you get a chance to spin the album, not because we need you to, it's because we want you to. So really appreciate your time today, man.
Yeah,
excellent.
And if anybody enjoys it, get in touch. We'll be in touch back. Honestly,
that's the other thing too. And I try to tell the bands this too is at American Metal Magazine, we have a thing called the M Index, and where these bands are listed, and you can comment on their music and talk to them, and they'll respond and talk to you back and have some interaction there. That's another thing about the whole social aspect of what we've done with the magazine. So it's a place that you can, as a fan, go and check these guys out and have some interaction with them, find out who they are. And that's the one thing that's great about these independent bands is you can approach them and talk to them, have a conversation with these guys. You know, they're approachable because they're great people. So anyway, anybody want to do a quick shout out before we bounce out of here? Anybody quick, hey, how you doing? Or thank you.
Hey Mantra, hey Shadow Monarchy, hey Aaron, hey Abolished, and who am I missing here? I'm missing a whole bunch. JPH, you guys all fucking rock. And Chicken Salt, I love you. Do things
Chicken Salt.
Chicken Salt. They're all our local bands that we've sort of been on the local circuit with this whole time. So they're also doing it just like we're doing it too. Yeah.
Well, again, thanks a lot, guys, for being on American Metal Magazine. This has been a great interview. And check them out. This is Hello Enemy, and these guys are friends of mine. So check them out on AMM.